How to store pork rack, raw or cooked. Does it need to be refrigerated? How long does it last frozen in the freezer? Below are some tips on how to store pork rack to prevent it from spoiling too quickly. Tips for storing pork rack. Pork rack is a perishable food, like all other types of meat. Therefore, it should not be left at room temperature for more than 2 hours, as it can develop harmful bacteria that are dangerous to your health. If the pork rack is raw, keep it in its original packaging in the refrigerator, and open it only when you're ready to prepare it. If you bought the pork rack unpackaged, place it in an airtight container in the refrigerator. Raw pork rack will last about 5 days in the refrigerator without spoiling. Cooked pork rack should be stored in an airtight container in the refrigerator, where it will last about 4 days without going bad. Can you freeze pork rack? Yes, you can freeze both raw and cooked pork rack. For raw pork rack, wrap it in plastic wrap and place it in an airtight container to prevent freezer burn. In the freezer, raw pork rack will last about 6 months without losing its quality, as long as it is kept frozen without temperature fluctuations. After this time, it may not necessarily spoil, but it will begin to lose its original qualities. If you bought frozen pork rack, keep it in the freezer until you are ready to prepare it. It has the same 6-month shelf life as raw pork rack in the freezer. For cooked pork rack, store it in an airtight container in the freezer. It will last about 3 months without going bad. How to defrost pork rack. To defrost, place raw or cooked pork rack in the refrigerator overnight. If kept at the correct temperature, the pork rack will last an additional 3 days in the refrigerator. If you use quick defrosting methods such as a microwave, cook it immediately after defrosting. How to tell if pork rack has spoiled. Always check the smell and appearance of the pork rack. Spoiled pork rack usually becomes slimy, develops a sour odor, and loses its natural color. If you notice anything unusual, discard it without tasting it. For frozen pork rack, freezer burn may occur, which doesn't necessarily mean the meat is spoiled. However, the burned parts may have an odd texture and taste.